Hey, how's it going? My name is Jackie Fish, and welcome back to another Medieval Kingdoms 1212 AD online battle. We are back with another epic one, and I'm hoping this one will shape up to be very, very exciting as it already kicks off. We'll go ahead and stick it on slow-mo so that this kind of small skirmish right here will have time to evolve and, you know, we won't miss any of the action. So in today's battle, we have a force from Kiev and a force from the Cumans going up against the Holy Roman Empire and also the forces of Bohemia. So one of the electors are also involved. I'm pretty sure Bohemia was an elector at 1212. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and stick to my guns and say yes, they were indeed. So we also have a very nice setup on the battlefield. We do have this big blocks of infantry by the woodland, and then we have these open areas on the flanks, which are going to be kind of scattered with spearmen, horses, and other infantry. In the Kiev roster as well, we do actually have some of these Italian mercenaries who have been brought up and, you know, brought to bear against the German states, as well as some awesome artillery shots from outside of the wood. And in this battle, I'm pretty sure the HRE or the German states are actually going to be the aggressors, so we're going to have this epic battle in the forest as well, which will be very, very exciting. So let's just go ahead and get this one underway, kick this one off with the initial forces. So yeah, the artillery is going to be bombarding and probably forcing the Germans forward. It's going to be hard for them to really find any direct hits because a lot of these lines are quite thin. However, you know, if they do get one or two hits off from these crossbows, then that's going to be worth it. Every one of these Pavese crossbows you kill is going to be amazing for your army. As well as that, we also have a really nice kind of formation off here with a load of these Kiev spearmen. Well, actually not spearmen at all, they're actually heavy infantry, but we do actually have the spearmen over here, so some medium spearmen of the 15th century, so nothing too, you know, weak. Obviously 15th century late infantry is going to be very deadly. So they're going to be situated on the right flank, basically just to help out in any other kind of side engagement. I really like this kind of formation here as well by Kiev. They're using these flanks to try and split up the German state forces, because obviously in a head-to-head fight, the Germans will simply just smash through these eastern factions with somewhat, you know, with a decent amount of ease, because their heavy infantry, these heavy knights, are just far too strong. However, the forces on the left-hand side of the Cumans are obviously using their horse archers, their hybrid horsemen, to harass the German knights back here. And again, as long as they can avoid fighting these Bohemian knights, they're going to be in a really good place, because these Bohemian knights in a head-to-head are going to be deadly, right? But if they can use their kind of halberds to scare them off, you know, they've got some of these Baltic militia here, basically just acting as a frontal force. They are going to be getting chased down as well here. The cavalry and the war dogs as well. Oh, the German war dogs coming in, chasing down these cavalry. And the thing is, the cavalry's not fast enough to escape, and they're going to catch a few of these horses, taking them down nice and early. This was a really nice move here by the Bohemia player. The rest of the cavalry does get the hell out of there, but then this infantry is also going to be struggling a little bit to kill these war dogs. Wow, that's a really nice move. And now the war dogs are getting onto the archers as well. Oh, this was a very aggressive move, but it has really paid off for the forces of Bohemia. It really, really has. We also have a big push up here as well. Both sides throwing forward their infantry. The halberdiers of the HRE advancing onto heavy missile fire, trying to get engaged. And obviously, if these halberds do manage to find their mark against the spears of Kiev, then they're going to win. But if they can, you know, as long as they just keep on retreating, they should be fine. And this would not be a bad idea to simply just fall back here. But it looks like they are going to engage. And it looks like this unit of halberds isn't actually in formation, giving the spearmen a little bit of an advantage here, because halberds are so deadly, and especially if they're going to get this unit of axemen in as well into the fight. These axemen are going to be doing great against the halberds. Really, really efficient, especially when they're not in formation. If they were in formation, I would say it'd be a different story. We have some nice cavalry charges here by Kiev as well. However, they are going to be engaging with knights of the HRE, and I imagine these fully golden chevron cavalry are going to do pretty goddamn amazing against the other cavalry of Kiev. Even though they do have 15th century cavalry, but I just can't see it doing as well as the German knights, especially with a lot more cavalry coming in. Very nice. However, they did manage to take out an entire unit of dismounted Imperial Ritters, so overall not a bad engagement. We're also going to be getting a frontal cavalry charge right here. Not the worst cavalry charge in the world, but that line did manage to withstand the blow quite effectively. And it's nice to see that that's kind of been adjusted. The thinner the unit lines are, the more obviously effective they are at killing them. It seems on the right-hand side, the German Knights have managed to get that open field battle that they wanted so badly with these 4 War Dogs as well. Really nice move here by Bohemia. You never see these War Dogs be used, and I mean, that's actually 6 units of War Dogs right there. You never see them be used, but it was a great way of engaging down all of this fight, all of this cavalry, and I think this is probably like the perfect unit to use against a horse archer faction like this, because the dogs can keep up with the horses, because obviously the horses have so much armor on them and stuff, so they're a bit slower than, you know, if they were just like kind of like a normal horse. And the War Dogs are a great unit at just chasing them down and engaging them. And if the cavalry try and run away from the War Dogs, they're going to take a ton of damage. So, yeah, this is a really good army planning phase here by Bohemia. And now they have all of these handlers still left alive as well. So, yeah, definitely War Dog devastation. They basically just acted as the anvil for the German Knights to then come forward and do a lot of damage. Over on this side as well, it seems like the Halberdiers are really struggling. These guys are even in formation, but the Kiev Spearmen are holding that line, and they're doing an amazing job of it, taking down a lot of these Halberdiers, even from the front, which is something you don't really see too often. Obviously, they were extremely weakened by a lot of missile fire, but even still, I am very, very scared though, and as I say, this is the exact reason why I'm kind of scared for the forces of Kiev, because of this cavalry. Because they managed to go ahead and win that initial cavalry fight, they can now charge down a lot of these missiles in the back. However, Kiev have brought a lot of heavy archers, and one of the amazing things about 12-12 is that most of the time, if you end up paying for the top tier archers, they don't necessarily get better at shooting, but they're much more heavily armored. And as you can see, these dudes are basically just like dismounted knights. So even though these archers are archers, they're more of a hybrid unit than everything else. You know, they're just as good as heavy infantry, but with a bow. They literally look like, and I think they literally are the dismounted horse archers. So it's just dismounted knights basically with a bow, so very good. Also, I love the look of the HRE cavalry as well. It looks so clean. But yeah, they're going to be able to withstand that cavalry charge, which is very nice. So even though this side engagement was popping off, it seems like the HRE are not having an easier time as much as they thought they would have on this flank. They're definitely being hit back here and there. There's even the general cavalry as well, doing some serious damage and fighting quite nicely. I mean, again, all of this cavalry should just try and swap. And actually, this is all Kiev cavalry, yeah. So it seems like, have they got any more? Did the HRE have more cavalry? Oh, no, they don't. So Kiev did actually just come out on top of that cavalry engagement really nicely. Wow, hats off to them. I didn't think they would be able to withstand that as well as maybe the Bohemians did. Over on this side, though, the Bohemian cavalry really pouring itself in. But is also under a lot of missile fire with archers turning their way over here, more reinforcements coming over. And this is why it can be really risky to do stuff like this, where you really push a flank. Because right now, the forces of the Cumans can quickly get over here and reinforce their battlefields, whereas the Bohemian armies have to kind of move a lot greater distance. However, unfortunately, the Cuman general has now been killed, and the Bohemian Knights are going to be smashing into the side of these Bolton warriors right there, Bolter warriors. Again, over here, we do actually have some pretty heavy axemen fighting away. And I love the way that they've got the shields tied to their arm. That looks pretty cool. But they are fighting some heavy Imperial troops right now. This right-hand side has now been completely cleared up because of that cavalry engagement. I must have missed something, or maybe just all the cavalry wasn't committed over here, but it seems like the forces of Kiev, I know that obviously Kiev's going to have good cavalry being very, steppe territory and stuff, but even still, I didn't expect them to do that well against the HRE, so I feel like I must have missed something. Because these guys are probably better riders, but the HRE cavalry is just so tanky. In that full plate Gothic armor. But I think actually, no, one of the reasons was because they didn't bring all heavy cavalry. I think I saw a few 14th century cavalry, which probably just gave the edge to Kiev in that battle. And I'm also really surprised of how well their spearmen performed as well. And the spearmen did a great job They are going to be winning these flanks kind of convincingly. So they've kind of, if we take a look at the overall battlefield, they've kind of won this flank on the right-hand side, but lost this flank on the left-hand side. They also lost their general. So this Cuman force, I think, is going to be very, very risky at advancing forward. They could easily lose their general. It also seems like these War Dog handlers are actually pretty decent in and of their own. They're not really heavily armored, just given a simple axe and told to go into battle. Yeah, these missiles are going to be finding their mark quite convincingly. Even still, and obviously charging into the front of Italian mercenaries isn't going to be great for them, but I feel like they've definitely paid for themselves already. Because they've allowed them to win this missile engagement, and I can't imagine this unit of dog, like each one of these dog units is that expensive either. You know, you can probably get 2 or 3 of these dogs for a unit of heavy infantry, like 15th century infantry. So in total, these guys have probably been completely worth it, if I'm honest. We do have some of the Bohemian cavalry moving around the right-hand side, but I think a lot of it has actually moved over to this left-hand side to help out their HRE allies. There is also a catapult out here as well. So whoever wins these flanks, I think, is going to determine a lot. But it seems like the Cumans have committed a large amount of infantry here, but they just cannot stand against the heavy. Yeah, this is 13th century infantry going up against the late period infantry of the Germans, and that's just not going to go well. Also, we have some Bohemian cavalry coming in as well. More infantry being thrown in here by the Cumans with their archer fire. I mean, this isn't a bad strategy, right? Because you're holding their infantry in place whilst your archers pepper them. But yeah, I feel like this is just not going to go the way they want it to, because the heavy infantry right here is just really, really good. Especially if they can get their men around the side of these halberds. Wait, oh, these war dogs managed to beat the halberds as well. Have the halberds just, like, been nerfed in the most recent patch or something? Because halberds used to be, like, almost impenetrable, like pikemen from the front. Are they just not like that anymore? These Cuman axes, though, will be doing decent. And again, you can see all the Cuman units basically are a hybrid. They're all, like, bowmen first, and then they're equipped with axes and swords afterwards. So you really want to be the one, you know, just volleying in, whittling down your opponent first before charging in. But here we go, a big push here by the HRE and Bohemia. Again, okay, so we do actually have some heavy Cuman infantry now, but even still, I think the Macemen are just too good. And it seems like they're really committing their army now onto this right-hand side, looking to completely curve them in. The Cumans, Kiev need to kind of advance maybe and be a bit more aggressive. They are using their range advantage on their archers to try and pick away a few of these Pavese crossbows, who are currently just defending and then going back as quickly as possible. I mean, that's the strength of a Pavese, right? They're basically, you know, missile-proof with that huge shield. So it's probably best to try and maybe shoot something else that isn't in formation, or maybe even try and, you know, exploit these Pavese spearmen from the side or something. Would not be a bad idea. Both infantry lines are coming forward. But yeah, this heavy engagement on this side is getting more and more infantry being thrown into it. The Italian mercenary, these are probably just normal, yeah, halberds. Not quite Italian mercenaries. I mean, the Germans don't have any need for them. They have their own style of units. Also, guys, if you want to see the campaign, I'm sure if you're on my channel and you're watching this video, you've already seen the video, but the first campaign alpha has actually come out for Medieval Kingdoms 1212. It's currently in closed testing. However, I was lucky enough to get my hands on it, and I've gone ahead and done, I think, 4 episodes by the time this one has gone up. So go over to the channel and make sure you check out the campaign of 1212. It's amazing. Loads of really awesome scripts. It is still very much a work in progress and being developed, but it's an amazing start, and yeah, it's very, very impressive with what they've done so far with the campaign. So definitely go check that out. I'm currently playing as France in the campaign, and it's been a lot of fun. I think what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go along like a lot of these other factions as well, because there's no point, you know, fully committing to a campaign until it is fully done. Wow, this is a pretty big Swiss pike box right here. Literally, look at them with some Bohemian cavalry coming in as well. A very, very nice charge. Let's take a look at the overall battlefield as well, so we can see what's fully going down. So it does seem like the forces of Kiev are really going to try and wrap around, use that cavalry advantage. They've actually managed to get a unit of cavalry through the front line somehow. Oh, right here. Well, yeah, they've actually gone ahead and punished them quite nicely. So these spaghetti lines simply do not work anymore. And I like to think that's part of what, you know, my videos have done. They've basically shown that people were just abusing these really thin lines. And just charging forward, and so they've gone ahead and changed it in the mod so that if you have a thin line like this, cavalry will just smash through it no matter what. Even light cavalry can break through this line because it is so thin. You need to have more dense formations, otherwise you will just be punished, and that's exactly what happened right there. They managed to smash through these gaps and then get onto these Pavese crossbows back there and do some serious damage. This right hand side does look fairly depleted, and it's probably down to these bowmen from the forces of the HRE, just shooting their way through the woodland area and taking away. Infantry are being brought up, and I think the infantry will be doing a pretty nice job here at breaking through this front line. They've also gone, oh, this is such a nice move here by Kiev. They've gone ahead and basically exploited the gap that's been created by this disorganization. Bohemia has been wanting to push, whereas the HRE have been wanting to defend. And now they're trying to fill this gap, but the swordsmen are already in. And you're also getting more swordsmen coming in here by Kiev, which is going to keep this gap alive and allow Kiev to really push forward more infantry and, you know, surround these guys and break forward. They've also managed to engage on the archer sergeants. So there is a great gap right here that can easily exploited if they want to. The front line has also been engaged as Kiev's heavy infantry go up against the spearmen of the HRE. However, more infantry are being thrown up. We do have some of the sergeants of the late period, so elite 15th century infantry, more aggressive dudes than, say, the mace infantry. The mace infantry are much better at killing heavily armored targets. We do have this insane, I mean, this visible line basically is just not even worth engaging. There's no way you're going to break through this elite line of Pavese, so you might as well just, you know, stand off it and look to exploit this gap right here. I really hope they try and throw something through this gap, because you could even rear charge this with cavalry, but oh my god, wow, this unit is getting absolutely ruined. For a unit of Pavese to be breaking on 99 men with 3 chevrons, that is extremely curious. I'm very surprised that this unit of Bohemian spearmen are breaking. The right-hand side, though, is where the Bohemians have their strength. They're holding right in the center with heavy Pavese, whilst their right flank is really just smashing in to the Cuman side. Again, heavy fights, but so many gaps are appearing. We've also got more infantry throwing themselves in. Yeah, there's a lot of gaps, and if there's any cavalry left, it could be the perfect opportunity for both sides to really look to turn the battle in their favor, because right now the balance of power is even number wise as well. We'll take a quick look at that if it will show me. Sometimes it doesn't like to. Seems like today is one of those. There we go. So around about 4,000 men on either side. It does seem like the German states of the HRE do have about 500 men more. However, that number could quickly go down. And again, this Cuman line is just not standing in the front. It's better for them just to really look to exploit this gap. They are killing a lot of these archers as well, which is pretty nice. But yeah, a lot of archers here as well, focusing down all the dismounted Imperial Ritter right here. These guys are going to be very vulnerable to missiles, wielding, you know, these huge axes and halberds, with also great swords mixed in there as well. The HRE is really looking to expand their theatre of influence here. Seems like they're doing a good job so far. I think losing that general has really made this fight on the right-hand side go in favor of Bohemia. I think if they would have kept their general alive, they could have maybe have held that little bit longer. But right now, these Pavese are just, you know, arriving in perfect manner to reform this up. However, they are losing their archers. It seems like the morale for Bohemia is really, really struggling right now. It, like, really is going down. But I guess that's the power of these dismounted Kievian nobles. You know, pretty good axemen. They obviously very effective at taking away heavily armored units. And again, that's a big break right there. And they're going to go straight forward onto these crossbowmen. Again, another unit they can easily take out. We do have more Pavese turning up, but maybe it's a little bit too late. Bohemia are reinforcing on this right-hand side, and they are going to win this one eventually, as we do have this kind of slow, grinded halberdier fight. It looks like the Bohemian halberdiers are maybe a little bit stronger. We've got this nice little box right here, but again, the Cumans are doing a great job at enveloping them, taking away that frontal defense. And as we've noted, you know, these kind of more steppe factions have really good dismounted archers. So even though you see this archer symbol and you're like, well, they're dismounted archers. No, they're not. They're Noga foot guard. You know, even though this isn't archer symbol, their archers are amazing. And as you can see right there, they've actually managed to break the Bohemians. Wow. I did not expect this to go down like this. And it also seems like over on this right-hand side as well, the cavalry is picking off the rest of this Bohemian knight unit with the support of the Axemen, and the balance of power has quickly shifted in favor of Kiev and the Cumans. I definitely underestimated them in this battle, and there we go, both generals being going down. So yeah, the Bohemian general being killed and also the Kiev general being slain. So I think only the Emperor is still alive, but oh my god, look at that huge rout in the center. Now actually, I think the Holy Roman Emperor must be dead because I can't see him on the field of battle. But yeah, look at that. My god, the center is completely broken apart right now for the HRE, and they are on full-on retreat. We have this big bulk of infantry right here and a few PVs. Yeah, oh my god, look at this. The HRE are full-on retreating with a few pockets of resistance. I did not think that the Cumans in Kiev would be able to break through the front line of the electors of the HRE. Like, at all. Especially the Emperor. Because the German knights are very, very good on the front line, but I think in combination with missile fire, they managed to whittle it down. I also feel like losing the generals were huge for both Bohemia and the HRE. That really meant that your infantry would just break, and then I think as well, like, there's the fact that they have so many hybrid archer units as well. You know, these foot guard are basically heavy infantry with a bow more than anything else. I think it does play a big role. And again, these PVs are just simply going to get surrounded and killed. We do actually have a nice little retreat back, though. Yeah, I think this is how the battle is going to end. The HRE and Bohemia retreating back to the forest with everything they've got. They're slowly being taken down. We look at the balance of power. Yeah, oh my god. When we last looked, there was a 500-man advantage for the Holy Roman Empire. And then all of a sudden, they are well under a 1,000-man disadvantage as they retreat back.
Enemy units have returned to the battle.
Whereas more and more infantry are simply flying in. And a lot of these units left back are all just archers, and these are not steppe archers. So these guys are okay in melee, but they're not like anywhere near as good. Like, dude's taking a goddamn arrow to the shoulder right there. Don't know how he can still pull that back. Maybe it's just stuck in his chainmail and hasn't actually pierced anything. Yeah, a lot of these arrows are just littering the bodies of these German archers. And Kiev coming around. I mean, it seems like Kiev was really the MVP, managing to absolutely annihilate the HRE. However, Bohemia also, you know, they had a really good assault right here, but then they just had to kind of retreat back their front line to support this big gap. And maybe if they held this line right here, they could have done a bit of a better job. The battle is going to be over. We'll watch the last couple stands, though, as these PVs... And I'm really surprised that the Cumans managed to rout the PVs from the front as well in this little, like, quadrant right here. Like, that's really impressive. I assume they did manage to get some men round the side, and it just didn't show it. Like, I assume someone was hitting them from the back. Because if they did rout them from the front, that's just insane. Because I believe the Bohemian general was alive as well. Maybe he wasn't, though. Maybe we'd missed one of the kills. The horns of victory are sounding, and all hope seems lost. Yeah, we've still got all of this infantry. It's actually a unit of cavalry over on that right-hand side. Needs to make its way back in, but I mean, I'm sure it will just rout. Oh, there we go. There is the... no, that's the... What's the Bohemian general right there? So maybe it was the Emperor who died here and the Bohemian general who was still alive. And maybe he's going to escape. I don't know if we can see him here. I don't think he's still alive, but maybe he is part of one of these knight units. Fleeing for his life. I mean, he's got the right idea. The last of these PVs charging in. Doing anything they can. And there we have it. The last units are breaking now. GG indeed. Oh, the Emperor, I mean, the Bohemian general is still alive. He's just going to simply charge him and out. Oh, that's a good charge, though. But then immediately round. There you go. Pyrrhic victory, but a very actually... I think that's not even a Pyrrhic victory. That was a clean victory for the Cumans and Kiev, honestly. They did a very, very nice job there at winning that battle. Especially considering, you know, how, like, strong the German front line is. Like, these infantrymen are not to be messed with. But it seems like just the amount of, like, these hybrid archers just did a lot of damage. And then their infantry did impressive as well. Especially these axemen as well of a high period. Pretty nice kills on them, 264 on them. Their cavalry doing surprisingly well as well. You know, I mean, the Cuman cavalry got absolutely smashed, but the Kiev cavalry kind of did the opposite over to the HRE. And I think it's down because they brought a few of these lancers right here, which just could not do well against the later period cavalry. I mean, even these Ritter right here didn't do that good either. Yeah, that's kind of bad. I was assuming the HRE cavalry to do better than that. They must have just got some really poor engagements. Because normally they normally rack up a couple hundreds of kills. So I guess that was just unfortunate. Maybe the Kiev player managed to do some nice stuff against them. But yes, hopefully you guys enjoyed this replay. If you did, be sure to drop a like and a comment down below. And I will see you guys in the next one.